Hi, everyone. Nicole Peters here again. You probably already read my previous email or watched that video that announced I am taking over for Business 259. If you have not seen that video, please refer to that email and watch that first. That's about a 2-minute video. It'll take you about 2 minutes to watch that video and then proceed back to this one. So as I already mentioned, I am taking over for Business 259. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I've done so far. So right now, you are more than welcome to log into Blackboard and get to work. I've tried my best to organize it in such a way that it makes a little bit more sense. um, and the lessons are now available for you, that kind of thing. When you log in, you come to the announcements page. I have a getting started area to the left. You do not need to go through that. However, you might want to just take a look. It does talk about the attendance policy and the late work policy. Any questions that most students have are in the syllabus. The great thing about teaching a course like this, it's a capstone course. Many of you have already taken many classes at Wake Tech, so I really don't have to explain the ins and outs. I don't have to talk about the attendance policy. You know what the attendance policy is. You know about you know reading your emails and communicating and making sure that you're submitting your work, late work policies. You know that each professor has a different late work policy. And so you can find my late work policy in my syllabus. Here's my faculty information, my email, my phone number. I am located on Southern Campus. I'm only there about 20 hours a week. I split my time between working from home and on campus. So I do about 20 hours there and 20 hours at home. I am much more productive at home than I am in the office. It's because I have a dedicated office area. It's quiet, and I can grade my papers in the comfort of my home. And I usually typically work from home when I can. But I also do have office hours. So if you want to stop by my office, just email me, let me know. I can let you know what those office hours are, or you can certainly call my office as well. I'm not always there, like I mentioned, but feel free to either call or email. Let's go ahead and take a look at these lessons, because I'm sure that's all of what you're really interested in learning about. What do I need to do to get through this class the next 6 weeks? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what I've done. Typically, when I teach this class, I teach it in modules. So we have module 1 through 5, HR management, employment law, recruitment, compensation, and training and development. And each of these modules actually happens to coincide with a course offered at Wake Tech. I mean, it makes sense. We have 5 HR classes. So I'm going to go ahead and teach it in different modules. Modules 1 would usually be a week or 2. Module 2 would be a week or 2, and they kind of overlap each other. But at any rate, these are the different modules. Now, you've already completed, based on what I've seen in your old week 1 lesson, it is set up very different than mine, but based on what I can see, it looks like you've already covered HR management, this first module, and then module 2, parts of employment law. So we're going to go ahead and continue with employment law for this week. Let's go ahead and take a look down here at the lesson folders. Now, I did keep your old week 1 for you. I didn't want to completely delete that in case you need to refer back to it. But basically anything that was pre-today can be found, March 23rd can be found in that old week 1. And then from me taking over the course, you will find it here on down. So this week, let's take a look at your assignments. So it says right here, your assignments due 3/27. This is part of module 2, as I already mentioned. And then you have 2 things that are due this Sunday. You have a discussion board that is due and a case study that is due. Now, this discussion board is a pretty light, I don't want to say easy discussion board, but I tried to keep it light for you. Basically, what I want you to do is look at these module 2 resources. These module 2 resources have all the different laws, employment laws that can be affected in the workplace. And so you can see there are a lot of different laws here for you. So what I'd like for you to do for your assignment for discussion board 2 is go ahead and pick one of the many resources and talk about what might make you visit one of these resources in real life. So let's assume you're an HR professional, HR manager, you're in the workplace, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation where you have to refer to one of these resources. So what I'd like for you to do is imagine a situation in which you would have to look up one of these resources and explain why you would have to do that, whether we're talking about employer rights, discrimination, Title VII, Pregnancy, Equal Pay Act. There are a lot of different lists here. And these are really the different lists you can choose from. Pick one of these and then talk about why you would have to uh, find this source when you're an HR professional. One of the things that I always talk about is a great advantage of being an HR professional is that all the resources to do your job are available online. There is no other profession out there that I can think of that says, okay, I have this job and I'm having a problem with something. What can help me? Well, HR has all the tools you need on the internet. There's so many resources. We have government resources, we have SHRM, there's all sorts of different HR websites that can help you create a handbook or a vacation policy. You name it, it's out there. And that's what I love about HR compared to any other job out there. Sure, there's some resources out on the internet, but not one that's going to help you the way that the HR resources can help HR professionals. So please use that internet when you are sitting in your offices and you are running your own HR departments. All right, so that's the first discussion board, or the first assignment, I should say. I'm going to go ahead and keep it light. It can just be about 3 sentences. It doesn't have to be too heavy, 75 to 100 words, just to kind of get the point across of why you would have to do that, because you also have a case study that is due. So let's go ahead and take a look at this case study here. As an HR manager, your company has asked you to create an employee handbook. Well, that's a typical assignment that most HR professionals have. You either have to create one or update it, refresh it, that sort of thing. Right, so you're almost done with your employee handbook, but you want to make sure that you're covering all the laws and regulations. I mean, keep in mind, there are over 360 different employment laws out there. There's 180 from the Department of Labor, the DOL. There are at least 7 from the EOC, and then there's OSHA. There's a lot of different laws. It's really hard to keep track of. So this assignment, what we're going to do is we're going to have you list the laws that should be included in the employee handbook based on the size of your organization, and then provide a brief explanation of each. So I want you to go ahead, if you're not familiar with what an employee handbook should have, you can go ahead and easily search that up on the internet. So, what types of things are covered in an employee handbook? Typically, it's policies, procedures, vacation, time off, you're an equal opportunity employer, that type of thing. And if you look at your Module 2 resources, you'll see right here, there are policies that should be included in every handbook. So this should help you out tremendously, right? Hint, hint. So what you're going to do is, based on those policies, you're then going to kind of align different laws that should be included in that handbook based on the size of your organization. Now, some of you might think, okay, well, let's think of some laws that need to be included. And one of them that might pop into your head is FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act. Well, just to give you a heads up, Family Medical Leave Act is only for organizations that have 50 or more employees. This particular company does not have 50 or more, it has 20 or more. So that number is really important for you to understand, because there are different laws that apply to different size organizations. It's really easy to Google it and find your answers, I promise you. So you can go ahead and say, what type of employment laws are needed for 20 full-time employees? Hint. And you should get a list of that. Of course, you're going to want to cite your source. So that's the first part. It will require probably about an hour or so of research time, I would imagine, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but that you're going to have to do a lot of research on the internet to figure out the laws that should be included in the handbook based on the size of the organization, and a brief, all caps, explanation of each. I once had a person hand in, I think it was like 15 pages in length. They went ahead and wrote a full paragraph of each law that had to be included. And that was excellent. Don't get me wrong, but it's not needed. I just need a brief explanation of each. Bullet points will be your friend here. So go ahead and use those bullet points. So that's the first part. The second is to provide a detailed plan on how you will accomplish creating this handbook, ensuring that all the laws are covered. Specifically, how will you recruit? Because there are employment laws that have to deal with recruitment, right? Selection, compensation, training. all of that, grievances. I don't want you to write a handbook. Please do not write the handbook, but I do want you to explain what's going to go into this handbook and how you're going to incorporate these laws into your labor practices. All right, so that is due the 27th. That's this Sunday. Now, I realize it's Wednesday and you're getting this information a little bit late. So do your best to get this work in on time. I will allow these two to be a few days late. I'll go ahead and extend it. Mentally, I'll extend it to next Wednesday. I'll give you a full week to work on it. I'm not going to put that in writing. It'll be just something I remember. Because if I put it in writing, then everyone's going to turn it in on Wednesday instead. I do want you to try to get this in. And so only be late if you have to be late, I guess is what I'm saying. Let's go back to the lessons for just a moment. So that's this week. Now, next week, starting next Monday, the 28th, we'll go ahead and you'll start seeing different modules. Right now, I only have module 3 folder here. Very soon, you'll see module 4 and module 5, and you'll see the rest of the things populate throughout the next day or two. So they will all be here for you, and everything will be available for you as well. Right now, I don't have anything in there. I wanted to get this week out of the way, but I will promise you I will have that here very soon. I also want to talk a moment about your final project. I realize that many of you already have begun your final project. You've already submitted your topic. That's fantastic. I want to go ahead and give you the option, though, of selecting a new topic. If you love what you're doing, continue with it. That's great. There's no action needed either way. So you don't have to do anything if you're changing your topic or if you're keeping your topic. But I just want to go ahead and give that option to you. If you want to change your research topic, you're more than welcome to. So here is what I typically do for my research project. I typically allow students to write a 8 to 10 page research paper on any topic they choose. I'm a big advocate of encouraging students to find what's interesting to them and then do the research on that, because that's where real learning takes place. When people are engaged and empowered, they want to research the topic because it's interesting, you're going to learn way more about that topic than if I force fed you a specific topic, right? So I don't want to force feed you. I want you to pick your own research topic and I want you to love what you're doing. And so here are some possible research paper topics. If you don't like what you're doing, you can do something on orientation and effects on retention. There's just a lot of different things, healthcare laws, how it impacts the cost of healthcare, what employees can do or employers can do to reduce the cost of healthcare, those types of things. And so you can pick any type of topic you want, just making sure that it's enough of a topic to cover 8 to 10 pages in length. And also make sure that it's HR related. And you might want to run it by me if you are picking something other than what you've already selected, just to make sure it's on par with the class. I'm sure it is, but I just want to make sure you're sticking with what you should. All right, so the requirements for this project, I have it kind of in an outline form for you. So the topic selection was already due. You've already submitted that. That was 3/13. So that's old news. Going forward, we have 2 more parts. On the 17th of April, you'll have 10 references that are due. I want you to go ahead and an outline. So you'll have an outline and your 10 references. Now your outline does not have to be detailed. 1 page is fine, but just an outline that'll help you write your paper, and then a page of references. That's due on the 17th. And then a couple weeks later, 2 weeks later, you have your final paper that's due. And then here are the requirements for that. It's pretty self-explanatory, double-spaced. It's an MLA, it's a research paper. I'm sure by now most of you have written papers. It is 8 to 10 pages in length and 10 references. And then here's some sources for you on how to cite properly. One last thing I want to mention is that I use a point system. I do not use a weighted graded average. And so that might be throwing you off. If you're looking at your quiz score, you probably saw maybe you had an 80% before, maybe you had 100% before. And so you saw an 80 or 100. If you log in now, you're not going to see that. You're going to see a 25 or you're going to see a 20. And that's because I use a point system. And so all my quizzes are worth 25 points. And so if you got 100% on your quiz, your 100 now turned into a 25. Makes sense? If you had an 80, that now turned into a 20. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the course schedule. This hopefully will keep you on track of what's expected over the next 6 weeks. So anything above this yellow line this was before me. And not that I don't care about it, I'm going to be grading these assignments, but these were all the assignments that were before me. They might be called something a little bit different, but at any rate, I kind of tried my best, but this is what's in there. I'm going to go ahead and grade those very soon for you as well. Anything after the yellow line or below the yellow line is what I've included in the course. And so you can see I try to make it very to-do friendly, like a to-do list friendly, if you will. We have this week due on the 27th, you have the discussion board and the case study. And then the following week, we're going to have a quiz, a discussion board, and a case study. And then a quiz, a discussion board, and a case study. Hopefully you're getting that pattern, right? Then you have part 2 of your research project. I kind of give you a little bit of a break that week. That also happens to be Easter. I know some of you may celebrate it, some of you may not, but the college is not closed that week. I'll probably allow you to turn it in on the 18th. I usually do that if a holiday falls on a Sunday. I'll go ahead and push it back onto the 18th. Let's go ahead and assume that I'll do that because I've always done that pretty much every year. And I can imagine not doing that this year, especially for this class. So I'll change that to the 18th, but basically part 2 of your research, which is the outline and the resources, the 10 references, I should say, and you can find that information there. And then you'll have module 5 and so on. And you can read this list. You can see that I use a point system. It's based out of 1,000 points, and you'll read about my late work policy. I also have collaboration. You can see I'm starting to move through the different areas, and I can guarantee within a few days, everything is going to be in here. Everything will be populated, and so it should make a lot more sense. Here's your migrates. Please refer to your migrates. This is your working to-do list. It tells you how many points each thing is worth, and then your score out of that. You should have tools. This is one of my favorite things, the calendar. It's a visual, lets you know when all your due dates are. So you can see I just made everything due on the 13th because that was before me. And now I'm moving forward. As we move through the semester, you'll see, things due every week at some point. I would imagine that'll be done very soon. And then your final project as well. Now, I will create links in your lesson folders that take you to the final project. So please don't worry about navigation. I'm going to make it as easy as possible for you. All right, so this has been a little bit of a longer video, and I apologize. I know I rambled a lot and I kind of went off on little tangents, but I hope for the most part, you have a sense of what's expected. Try your best. Try to get things in this week on the 27th. And if you're a day or two, that's okay. If you're late a day or two, I don't have a problem. But then going forward, we're going to go ahead and adhere to those due dates, right? Okay. Please reach out if you have any questions, and we'll get through this together. All right. Thank you so very much. Take care.